This is a Cincy fan talking with LP. You can catch me on Twitter. That's a Cincy fan talking. You say it like it sounds, just leave off the G. If you have ideas for the show, you can reach me at Cincy_fan talk at yahoo.com. If you have any suggestions for the show, make sure you leave them there. Who knows, you might find yourself as part of the show. Any feedback would be definitely appreciated. And also, make sure you hit the Linktree page that's on my Twitter. Make sure you click on that. You can find all the different ways to contact me there. Enjoy the show. Hey, everybody out there. Welcome to another episode of Cincinnati Fan Talk. It's your boy LP here with you, talking about everything that's good here in Cincinnati and elsewhere if it so moves me. Again, I appreciate the support. The podcast is trending ever so slowly in the upper position. I really appreciate all the support. If you want to go ahead and hit me up, please feel free to catch me at Cincy_fan talk on Twitter. That's Cincy_fan talk. That's on Twitter. You can also leave me a voice message here on Anchor. I appreciate all the love and support. Gonna get into a little bit of Bengals in a little while. Basically talking about how maybe they deserve a little bit of the benefit of the doubt as far as what they're gonna do with the number one pick. But before I talk about that, I want to discuss a little bit about Martin Luther King Day. Yeah, I know that's kind of a weird topic as far as a sports podcast goes, but I mean, for me, I've always said the one thing I want to do with my podcast is talk about issues that kind of move the needle for me as a black man. So I don't want to give myself a platform like this and not discuss that. So I honestly felt some type of way, and I have for a long time. Just kind of growing up as an adult and seeing how Martin Luther King Day, his birthday, kind of brings up a little bit of I don't really know what to call it inside of me, but as far as his day in sports, and this is just me being honest, I just see a whole lot of hypocrisy as far as what goes on in athletics and his day, because you had the other 364 days of the year, 365 if you're throwing in a leap year, but it seems like you have all of these days where you're hearing a lot of disrespect towards black athletes. Shut up and dribble. You're to be seen and not heard. Entertain us. Bounce the ball, throw the ball, catch the ball. But we don't really want to hear about your political beliefs. We don't want to hear about what you do for the black community. We don't really want to hear that. Score a touchdown. Like, that's what you're here for. I mean, basically in America, we want our sports with as little politics as possible, as if the two don't mix. The two have always mixed. Sports and politics have mixed since forever. You have a platform, you use your platform. And it always seems like on Martin Luther King Day, that's the one day where everybody's like, hey, live with love, live with hope. And they're pulling out the most whitewashed Martin Luther King Jr. quotes that you could possibly think of, as if he wasn't about struggle. I mean, it's just kind of weird to me that you have somebody like Colin Kaepernick who's doing the exact same thing that Dr. Martin Luther King would do. He's leading nonviolent. He's leading a peaceful protest, and it's a respectful protest. He's just kneeling during the national anthem. People kneel to pray. It shows respect. But this has been blown completely out of proportion, and all of a sudden, he doesn't respect America. Kaepernick's messing up his brand. He's a distraction. Meanwhile, you have people doing all sorts of things on their teams that cause all sorts of distractions. Yet they get passes because they're talented. Kaepernick is just as talented. There are a lot of people that are just as talented, but because they push quote unquote political beliefs because they have their platform, they don't get their just due and they don't get to play. I just find it ridiculous that the same people that are saying that Kaepernick is a distraction and that he shouldn't be allowed to play if he's going to kneel during the national anthem. A lot of these people are the same people that are saying, you know, we respect what Dr. King did. You know, he was nonviolent. He led with love. Dr. Martin Luther King was considered dangerous in his day. I mean, he went to jail almost 30 times. I mean, he went to jail all of the time. I don't know if people remember this, but he was assassinated. And a lot of people don't know this, but he was almost assassinated twice. A lot of people don't know that. He was stabbed in the heart 10 years before he was assassinated, and he barely lived through that. So people don't really understand that things for him was really dangerous and people didn't understand what he was trying to do. It's like in America, we're always late to being right. I don't know if that makes sense, but we look at stuff that happened 40, 50 years ago and we go like, oh my God, how could people think like that? But 20 or 30 years from now, people are going to look at Kaepernick taking a knee to protest police brutality and the conditions that we go through as black men in America. People are going to look at him 20 or 30 years from now and they're going to go like, oh my God, how could we think like that? How come he couldn't just kneel because he was protesting police brutality? How come he couldn't kneel because he wanted to shine a light on what's happening in black communities in America? What's the problem with that? Our kids are going to say this 20 or 30 years from now, and they're going to look at us and go like, what was the problem? And a lot of people are going to go like, you know what? Damn it, I do not know what the problem was. Because we're always late to being right. We can look at a whole lot of different instances where we go like, we were late on being right. To bring in a sports like I always do, when we had Magic Johnson dealing with HIV, people didn't want to play on the same court as him. We look at this now and think this is utterly ridiculous. But back in 92, 93, people were scared out of their minds. Oh, somebody has a scratch. Oh no. We have to get away from him because Magic can't bleed on the court. It's going to be a problem. People actually thought like that. We have people that are in the Hall of Fame in basketball that were like, I don't want him sweating on me. What's going to happen if he leans on me? And it's like now we look at that and we think that's absolutely crazy. But we're always late to be right here in America. And I feel like when we discuss Dr. Martin Luther King and the role that he plays in athletics, that's what I feel is going to happen. All of the stuff that we're freaking out about, you know, LeBron James using his platform, Colin Kaepernick using his platform, all of this stuff that we think is absolutely positively crazy, we're going to look back on 20 years from now and go like, it makes no sense. Like, what were we thinking? And what I really hope is that people can get their stuff together and be like, look, what's happening is not disrespectful. Look at what Kaepernick is talking about. Look at what LeBron James is talking about. And understand that it's not disrespectful to use your platform to shine a light on things. It's really not different from a J.J. Watt using his platform to help out the greater Houston area when they were going through the hurricanes and the floods. It's really not that different from somebody whose kid has a disease using their platform to shine a light on how to fight this disease. It's really not that different. What happens is we make it different because we don't want to discuss what these athletes are talking about. And I feel like that's the real problem. So what we have to do is understand that athletics can be used as a vehicle to discuss things that people really don't want to discuss. But I don't think it's going to happen pretty soon because guess what? People really don't want to discuss it. So, I mean, that's my take on the whole thing. Feel free to share yours. Again, on issues such as these, I'm always willing to talk. I'm definitely respectful about it. If you're respectful, we can have a dialogue because I really feel like dialogue is what's missing. I feel like people don't understand my point of view. And maybe I don't understand other people's point of view. Maybe people really feel like what Kaepernick is doing is disrespectful and they don't understand why. So as long as it's respectful, I'm definitely down with a conversation. Hit me on Twitter, Cincy_fan talk, and we'll definitely chop it up and talk about it. We're going to go ahead and take a break. After this break, I'm going to hit a little bit about the Bengals and talk about why I don't think they're going to mess up this draft pick, and you might think that they will. And we're going to get into that. First, we're going to take this break, hear a quick ad. This is Cincinnati Fan Talk. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Cincinnati Fan Talk. It's your man's LP. Back here with you. We're going to talk a little bit about the Bengals. And what I'm hearing and what I'm reading about the Bengals and their high draft picks and the draft picks that they might or might not end up with is the same thing we heard in the 90s about the Bengals, the same thing we heard in the early 2000s about the Bengals. The Bengals have all these draft picks, and they're about to find a way to mess it up. That's what you keep hearing. That's what I keep hearing. That's what I keep reading. Everyone's looking for the Bengals to mess this up. And what I personally think is a lot of Cincinnati bashing. There's a lot of Bengals bashing out there. And it's been this way for a long time. I would say kind of sort of deservedly so. Extremely rough stretch in the 90s, early 2000s. You had Marvin Lewis, who seemingly picked up anybody who had a checkered past because they might have had some athletic ability. That was happening a lot. So we started kind of earning that reputation here in Cincinnati as the team that tends to mess up drafts and tends to pick the wrong free agents. And, I mean, we kind of sort of earned that brand. But personally, what I think, and this is just me, is that people are really overlooking how well the Bengals pick up and develop talent since I would say about 2008, 2009. It really started about 04, 05 when they started picking up pieces that kind of began that first run in 2006. But people aren't giving the Bengals credit for what they did in that 4 or 5 year run when we made the playoffs every single year. The Bengals don't get free agents. That's not what they do. And if they do get a free agent, it'll be somebody that's probably a year or two past their prime. That's not what the Bengals do. The Bengals also don't trade. That's not what they do. I think this is really archaic on Mike Brown's part. I mean, when you trade, what you want to do is help somebody else get better, and you get better in the process. You don't want to be known as the team who only trades when they think they can hurt the other team or get over on the other team while they get like a king's ransom of picks or players, because it doesn't work that way. I mean, you give a gift, You get a gift. That's how it's normally supposed to go. The Bengals don't operate that way. They're like, look, we're not trading with you because we're not about to make you better. Completely forgetting that you can get better as well. And it's really about what you need as opposed to what they need. But the Bengals don't do that. What the Bengals do is they draft. They put all their eggs in the draft basket. So if the draft works out, they do great. If the draft doesn't work out, they crash and burn. So think about it. The years 2011 through 2015, awesome drafts. Awesome drafts. Vontez Burfict, undrafted free agent. Jerome Simpson, Marvin Jones, AJ Green, Andy Dalton, Kevin Zeitler. I mean, you look at all of these players that they drafted between the years 2011 to 2015. William Jackson. I mean, I'm sorry, not William Jackson. Who are we thinking of? They grabbed Leon Hall, Jonathan Joseph. That's what we're talking about, Jonathan Joseph. All of these players that they drafted gave them some really good years, and they were very talented. And these are players that the Bengals scouted, observed, and they got to drop on a lot of other people to get these players. So it's not like the Bengals don't know what they're doing because most of their scouting staff is still there. You know, Duke Tobin in the game. Marvin Lewis isn't there. So we'll see what this staff does as far as being able to scout players and draft players. But we can't give the Bengals all of this credit for the stuff that they did before because there was a stretch there where people were saying that the Bengals are getting it done like the Green Bay Packers were getting it done. They draft these players, they keep these players, and these players do well. We were saying that about the Bengals for a while. We can pull up articles that said this about the Cincinnati Bengals. What happened with the Bengals is the same thing that happened to a lot of teams. Bad luck in the draft. You pick up players in the draft, they don't pan out. You pick up players in the draft, they get hurt. There's really nothing you can do about that. The entire draft is a crapshoot. Some players, they look better than others from the beginning. True. There's some players that are like lock, stock, solid picks. But for the most part, once you get past the middle of the first round, it's all a crapshoot. You may have the player that, I don't know. I mean, you can think of a Joe Mixon type. First round talent, had some issues, got pushed back a round or two. Things like that happen. What's happening with the Bengals is they've hit a bad streak as far as drafting. And as we just discussed, if you hit a bad streak of drafting and that's all you do, you got to prepare for some pretty rough times because you don't have free agents to help you out. You don't have trades to help you out. All you really have is the draft. And for a small market team like the Bengals, maybe that's all you can do. I mean, it's going to be tough to get a free agent to come to Cincinnati in November or December. It's cold here. It's not really a selling point. But what the Bengals need to do, if they really want to be that team that's going to compete, it starts with the draft for the Bengals. And the Bengals either have to, A, stockpile draft picks because, I mean, you're dealing with a bunch of lottery tickets. That's basically what I view the draft as. There are a bunch of lottery tickets. The more tickets you have in the lottery, the more likely it is you are to win. If you don't have a lot of lottery tickets, then what you need to do is do your research and make sure that the lottery tickets that you do pull are ones that are going to be successful. That's basically what it boils down to because there's no telling who's going to be great in the draft. I know everybody's like, you got all these prognosticators like, yeah, oh my God, so-and-so is going to be great. Yeah. But do we really know? We don't know 100% for sure because if we did know, you wouldn't have players that are like 6th and 7th round draft picks or maybe even undrafted coming in the league and absolutely beasting. Whereas you have sometimes some first round picks, sometimes some second round picks. that don't really quite pan out. So I feel like we really need to give the Bengals the benefit of the doubt. I don't feel like they're going to 100% bungle this draft because if you look at the past 10 years, you can only really think of one draft that they bungled. I mean, just really one. And that was the year you had Cedric Ogbuehi and he got hurt. And you had a couple other draft picks and they just didn't pan out. But I can think of one. Maybe you can think of 2 years. And really, it just came down to injuries. And you're talking about football here. And in football, injuries are part of the game. So what you want to do, A, you either build depth, or B, you find the best players possible year after year and pray to hell that they don't get hurt and that you can develop them. The Bengals have done a reasonably good job of the second thing. They've been able to find players and develop them. Now, what's happening for the past 3 or 4 years is that hasn't happened. So maybe luck will turn around this year and they get themselves some picks that'll really help them out, whether they trade for more picks or whether they keep the picks that they have. Like I've already said, I'm standing towards the line where we keep the picks that we have. I mean, it's so easy to say, hey, we need to go ahead and get more picks, because you have more picks in that lottery. But we're talking about changing the franchise. And to change a franchise, you need a franchise quarterback. You get the rest done by trading other draft picks that you have to get more capital. I mean, you can always trade that second round pick to get a couple more third round picks to help you out. But that first round pick, that first pick in the first round, that's a franchise change right there. That changes the entire culture. And I just can't see trading that pick. I mean, that would be a really hard sell for me. As always, I'd like to hear what you think about it. Subscribe to the podcast. Send messages to the podcast. Hit me on Cincy_fan talk. Always happy to talk it out. And we're going to go ahead and close this show on out. Catch you guys in a couple of days. We'll be talking about more stuff from a fan point of view. So, hope you like the podcast. If you do, hit the subscribe button. This is Cincinnati Fan Talk. This is LP signing out. Peace. If you're not ready for the conversation to end, I'm not either. Make sure to catch me on Twitter. That's the Cincy Fan Talking. Leave off the G at the end of it, and we can keep the conversation going. Also, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button so you can catch the next episodes. The episodes will drop every Tuesday. If there's a change in that, I'll make sure to let you know. Appreciate the support. As always, life is good.